Being nice is great, right? Everyone loves a kind person. But here's the harsh truth. In 2025, being too nice might just be your biggest mistake. In today's world, the line between kindness and being a pushover is blurrier than ever. Always saying yes, avoiding conflict, and putting others first might seem noble, but it's often a fast track to burnout, manipulation, and missed opportunities. And let's face it, people don't always value what they take for granted. In this video, we're going to break down why being too nice is a problem, how to recognize if you're guilty of it, and, most importantly, how to stop. By the end, you'll have the tools to set boundaries, say no with confidence, and stand up for yourself without losing your kindness or authenticity. So if you're ready to stop being walked over and start taking control of your life, let's dive in. Why being too nice is a problem. Being too nice isn't the same as being a kind or good person. Kindness stems from empathy, respect, and a genuine desire to do good without expecting anything in return. On the other hand, being too nice often means sacrificing your own needs, boundaries, and well-being to please others. It's about being agreeable to the point where you avoid confrontation, overextend yourself, or let others dictate your life, all in the name of keeping the peace or being liked. One of the biggest differences between kindness and being a pushover is intent. A kind person helps others because they care but knows when to draw the line. A pushover, however, acts out of fear of rejection, conflict, or being seen as selfish. This often leads to unhealthy patterns like people-pleasing, constantly saying yes even when it's inconvenient or exhausting, or over-apologizing, where every minor inconvenience prompts unnecessary regret. For example, if someone bumps into you, you might find yourself saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," when you've done nothing wrong. Or when a colleague asks for help at the last minute, you drop everything to assist, even if it derails your own priorities. These habits may seem harmless on the surface, but over time, they signal to others that your time, energy, and boundaries are up for grabs. In essence, being too nice is a form of self-abandonment disguised as politeness. The consequences of being too nice can creep into every aspect of your life, often leaving you drained, unfulfilled, and even resentful. Let's start with how it affects your personal life. When you're constantly saying yes, whether it's to a friend who needs a favor, a family member who calls for help every other day, or even a stranger asking for your time, you quickly find that your schedule no longer belongs to you. Your weekends, taken up by errands for others. Your evenings, filled with tasks you didn't want to do but felt too guilty to decline. Over time, this can lead to feelings of frustration, as you realize that while you're always showing up for others, no one seems to prioritize your needs. Now think about the professional downsides of being too nice. In the workplace, being overly accommodating often results in being taken advantage of. Maybe you've agreed to stay late repeatedly, and now your boss assumes you're always available. Or you've shared ideas in meetings only to have colleagues run with them, taking the credit. Instead of being respected, you're seen as someone who will shoulder extra workloads or let others take the spotlight because you never push back. The worst part? Being too nice doesn't guarantee people will appreciate you. In many cases, it can actually lower their respect for you. People often mistake excessive niceness for weakness, which can make you an easy target for manipulation. And what's the ultimate cost? Burnout. You pour so much of yourself into pleasing others that there's little energy left for your goals, dreams, or self-care. You wake up one day realizing you've been living everyone else's life but your own. How society in 2025 amplifies this. The pressures of 2025 make being too nice an even bigger issue. In the age of social media, we're constantly encouraged to be agreeable, likable, and approachable online. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn push us to curate a version of ourselves that's friendly and flawless. Someone who never says the wrong thing or makes waves. We're pressured to respond to every message, like every post, and avoid confrontation at all costs, because the slightest disagreement could lead to backlash. But it's not just about social media. In modern work environments, there's an unspoken expectation to be a team player. A phrase that's often code for taking on extra work without complaining. Companies praise employees who go above and beyond, but this praise is rarely accompanied by raises or promotions. Instead, it reinforces the idea that you're only as valuable as the number of tasks you can take on. Relationships in 2025 also come with their own toxic expectations. Whether it's romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics, there's often a subtle pressure to prove your worth by being overly accommodating. For instance, you might feel obligated to always text back immediately, agree to plans you're not excited about, or avoid expressing your true feelings for fear of being labeled difficult. This constant performative niceness doesn't just exhaust you, it creates shallow, one-sided connections where you're always giving but rarely receiving. Ultimately, society in 2025 rewards surface-level kindness over genuine authenticity, making it harder than ever to draw boundaries or stand firm. The result? A culture where being too nice is celebrated on the surface, but quietly erodes your sense of self-worth beneath it all. How can you tell if you're being too nice? While kindness is a strength, it becomes a weakness when it starts to chip away at your energy, confidence, and self-respect. Here are some common red flags to watch for. You feel drained after interactions. If you consistently feel exhausted after social or professional interactions, it's a sign you're overextending yourself. Being too nice often means putting on an emotional mask, forcing yourself to be agreeable and accommodating even when it doesn't come naturally. For instance, you might spend an hour listening to a friend vent about their problems without ever mentioning your own struggles, leaving you emotionally drained. Over time, this takes a toll on your mental and physical health. You say yes when you really mean no. One of the biggest indicators of being too nice is your inability to decline requests. Whether it's agreeing to work overtime, running an errand for someone, or attending an event you have no interest in, your automatic response is always yes, even if your gut tells you otherwise. This habit stems from a fear of disappointing others or being seen as unkind. Unfortunately, each unintentional yes is a silent betrayal of your own needs and priorities. You avoid conflict at all costs. Conflict is a natural part of life, but when you're too nice, even minor disagreements feel overwhelming. You'd rather bite your tongue than risk upsetting someone else, even if it means compromising your own boundaries. For example, imagine a colleague keeps interrupting you during meetings. Instead of addressing it directly, you stay quiet, letting your frustrations simmer. Avoiding conflict may feel like the easier option in the short term, but it often leads to unresolved tension and resentment. You feel resentful but never voice it. Perhaps the most damaging red flag of being too nice is the buildup of resentment. You keep giving and giving, expecting others to reciprocate or acknowledge your efforts, but when they don't, bitterness creeps in. The irony is that others may not even realize you're unhappy because you've never expressed it. This cycle leaves you feeling unappreciated and powerless, trapped in a loop of unspoken frustration. Recognizing these red flags is the first step to breaking the habit of being too nice. If any of these resonate with you, it's time to take a closer look at your boundaries and start prioritizing your own well-being. To really drive this point home, let's look at some relatable scenarios where being too nice can backfire. These examples will help you identify if you've been in similar situations and how they might be holding you back. The overloaded friend. Imagine you have a friend who's always asking for favors. Whether it's a ride to the airport, help moving furniture, or advice on their latest crisis. You're the first person they call, and you always say yes, even when it disrupts your plans. One Saturday morning, you've set aside time to relax and focus on your hobbies. Just as you're settling in, your friend calls and asks if you can help them with a last-minute errand. You don't want to disappoint them, so you drop everything and go. While they're grateful in the moment, they don't think twice about the sacrifice you made. Meanwhile, you're left feeling drained and wondering why your own needs always take a back seat. The agreeable colleague. At work, you're known as the team player. A colleague asks if you can take on some of their tasks because they're feeling overwhelmed, and without hesitation, you agree, even though your own workload is already full. Weeks later, the same colleague gets praised in a meeting for completing their projects on time, while your own work has suffered due to the extra responsibilities. You feel frustrated and unappreciated but don't speak up, fearing it will make you look uncooperative. The silent partner. In a relationship, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, you constantly find yourself saying, "Whatever you want is fine." Maybe your partner always chooses where to eat, how to spend weekends, or what shows to watch. Deep down, you have preferences, but you never voice them because you don't want to seem demanding or difficult. Over time, this dynamic creates an imbalance. Your partner begins to assume you have no opinions, while you feel invisible and unheard. These scenarios highlight how being too nice isn't just about small inconveniences. It's about losing control over your time, energy, and voice. When you prioritize others' needs over your own, you send a message, intentionally or not, that your feelings are less important. This doesn't just harm your well-being, it also creates unhealthy dynamics where others may unknowingly take advantage of your niceness. The first step to breaking free from the habit of being too nice is a mindset shift. You need to understand that kindness doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. True kindness comes from a place of strength and respect, not only for others but for yourself as well. The key is to realize that you can be kind and compassionate while also standing firm in your values and priorities. Being nice isn't about sacrificing yourself. It's about showing empathy without losing your own voice. One of the biggest hurdles is the misconception that saying no makes you mean or selfish. In reality, saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you clear. When you say no, you're setting boundaries and communicating your limits. This clarity is actually a form of respect, both for yourself and for the other person. Imagine agreeing to help someone with a project even though you know you don't have the time. You end up stressed, overwhelmed, and possibly delivering subpar results. Wouldn't it have been better, for both of you, to simply say, "I can't take this on right now"? Changing your mindset means recognizing that your time, energy, and emotional well-being are valuable. You are not responsible for solving everyone's problems or meeting everyone's expectations. By understanding this, you can approach life with balanced kindness, helping others when it aligns with your values, but never at the expense of your own well-being. Once you've shifted your mindset, the next step is to put practical strategies into action. These tools will help you stop being too nice while maintaining respect and kindness. Set boundaries. The foundation of breaking the too nice cycle is learning to set boundaries. Boundaries are personal rules that define what's acceptable and what's not in your relationships, whether personal or professional. Start by identifying areas where you feel overextended or resentful. For example, if you constantly work late because your boss piles on extra tasks, set a boundary. "I'm available until 5:30 p.m., but after that, I need to focus on personal time." Sticking to your boundaries is just as important as setting them. When someone pushes back, and they likely will, stay firm. Remember, boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about creating a space where both parties can interact in a healthy and respectful way. Learn to say no. Saying no is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. The key is to say it politely but firmly, without over-explaining or apologizing excessively. Here are a few examples. Instead of, "I'm so sorry, but I don't think I can help with that," try, "I won't be able to help with that, but I hope it goes well." Instead of, "I don't think I can do it, but maybe I'll try if you really need me to," try, "No, I can't commit to that right now." Remember, you don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation. A simple, respectful no is enough. Stop over-apologizing. Many people who are too nice have a habit of over-apologizing, even when they've done nothing wrong. This undermines your confidence and makes others view you as less assertive. Instead of apologizing unnecessarily, try replacing apologies with gratitude or directness. For example, instead of, "I'm sorry for being late," try, "Thank you for waiting for me." Instead of, "I'm sorry for not being able to help with this," try, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't help with this right now." This small shift in language can have a big impact on how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. Assertive communication is all about expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs clearly and respectfully. One effective technique is using I statements, which focus on your perspective without blaming or attacking the other person. For instance, instead of, "You're always asking me to do extra work," try, "I feel overwhelmed when I'm asked to take on additional tasks, so I need to focus on my current workload." This approach allows you to express your boundaries without escalating conflict or damaging relationships. Ultimately, breaking the habit of being too nice requires a deep commitment to self-respect. This means valuing your own needs, time, and feelings as much as you value those of others. Start by prioritizing activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Block out time in your schedule for yourself, whether it's pursuing a hobby, exercising, or simply relaxing. Treat this time as non-negotiable, just like you would an important meeting or appointment. Another crucial aspect of self-respect is surrounding yourself with people who honor your boundaries. If someone consistently disregards your limits or takes advantage of your niceness, it's worth reevaluating that relationship. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. Finally, remind yourself that you deserve the same kindness you give to others. When you start prioritizing your own well-being, you'll find it easier to say no, set boundaries, and stand up for yourself. And the best part? You'll still be the kind, compassionate person you've always been, just with more balance and confidence. One of the most immediate and noticeable benefits of balanced kindness is the respect you'll gain from others. When you're clear and assertive about your needs and boundaries, people begin to see you as someone who values their time, energy, and self-worth. Being too nice often leads others to assume that you'll tolerate anything: extra demands, unfair treatment, or even outright disrespect. But when you stand firm and communicate assertively, it signals that you have self-respect, which encourages others to treat you with respect as well. Think about it. When someone says no in a polite but confident manner, it leaves a lasting impression. For example, if a coworker asks you to stay late to help with their project, and you respond with, "I understand this is important, but I've already made commitments outside of work," you're not being rude, you're being clear. Over time, people will begin to view you as dependable but not exploitable. They'll also take your opinions more seriously because you've established that you won't agree just to avoid conflict. The shift in respect doesn't just apply to your professional life, it extends to personal relationships too. Friends and family members who once took advantage of your niceness will recognize that you value yourself enough to set boundaries. This respect lays the groundwork for healthier, more balanced interactions where you're no longer just accommodating but an equal participant. Balanced kindness strengthens relationships by creating space for mutual respect and understanding. Genuine connections thrive when both parties feel valued and heard, and that's only possible when boundaries are in place. Without boundaries, relationships often become one-sided, with one person giving endlessly, while the other takes without realizing the impact. Balanced kindness shifts this dynamic by fostering equality and authenticity. For example, let's say you have a friend who constantly asks for favors but never reciprocates. When you start saying no to requests that stretch you too thin, it might initially cause discomfort, but it will also force them to reevaluate their behavior. True friends will respect your honesty and appreciate the clarity you bring to the relationship. Over time, this honesty strengthens the bond, as both parties feel free to express their needs without fear of resentment or conflict. In romantic relationships, balanced kindness can be transformative. When you establish boundaries, it prevents unhealthy patterns like codependency or emotional exhaustion. Instead of saying yes to every demand, you create a partnership where both people contribute equally. This balance fosters deeper trust and communication, allowing the relationship to grow in a healthy, sustainable way. By prioritizing your own well-being, you also set an example for your partner to do the same, leading to a more fulfilling and supportive connection. One of the greatest rewards of balanced kindness is the sense of mental and emotional freedom it brings. When you're too nice, your life often feels like it's controlled by the demands and expectations of others. You might spend hours agonizing over how to decline a request or replay conversations in your head, wondering if you upset someone. This constant worry is draining, leaving little room for peace or personal growth. By learning to say no and set boundaries, you free yourself from this mental clutter. You no longer feel obligated to meet everyone's expectations or say yes out of guilt. This shift allows you to focus on what truly matters: your own goals, passions, and well-being. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you stopped apologizing for things that aren't your fault or stopped agreeing to tasks that don't align with your priorities. That mental clarity gives you space to pursue your dreams and enjoy life on your terms. Emotionally, balanced kindness reduces resentment. When you're no longer overcommitting or sacrificing your needs, you stop feeling like a victim of others' demands. Instead, you take ownership of your choices, which leads to a greater sense of empowerment and inner peace. Over time, this emotional freedom allows you to approach relationships and responsibilities with genuine enthusiasm rather than obligation or frustration. Perhaps the most transformative benefit of balanced kindness is the confidence it builds. When you know your worth and act in alignment with it, your self-esteem grows exponentially. Each time you set a boundary, say no, or advocate for yourself, you're reinforcing the belief that your time, energy, and feelings are valuable. This belief becomes a cornerstone of your confidence, influencing every aspect of your life. Confidence isn't just about how you feel, it's about how you act. When you're confident, you make decisions with clarity and purpose. You're no longer paralyzed by the fear of upsetting others or being judged. Instead, you approach challenges with the knowledge that you're capable of handling them. For instance, in a professional setting, confidence might mean negotiating for a raise or turning down a project that doesn't align with your career goals. In personal relationships, it could mean expressing your feelings honestly, even if it leads to uncomfortable conversations. This newfound confidence has a ripple effect. As you stand up for yourself and prioritize your well-being, others begin to see you in a new light. They view you as someone who is self-assured and reliable, which further enhances their respect for you. Confidence also makes you a better role model for those around you, showing them the importance of self-worth and healthy boundaries. Balanced kindness isn't about becoming less nice. It's about combining kindness with self-respect. When you embrace this mindset, you gain respect, improve your relationships, and experience a profound sense of freedom and confidence. You'll still be the kind, compassionate person you've always been, but you'll approach life with a sense of balance and purpose that empowers you to thrive. By prioritizing your own well-being, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're setting the stage for a more authentic, fulfilling life and inspiring others to do the same. In conclusion, breaking free from the habit of being too nice starts with setting clear boundaries, learning to say no, and valuing yourself first. It's about combining kindness with self-respect to create a life where you're no longer drained, resentful, or overlooked. Remember, kindness is powerful, but when it's unbalanced, it can hold you back from living authentically. So, as we step into 2025, stand up for yourself, prioritize your well-being, and take control of your life. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more personal growth content, and share it with someone who needs this message. Together, let's make this the year of confident, balanced kindness.